Sometimes a player's choices are so reckless and self-centered that they don't just tarnish their own reputation, they threaten the very structure of the league itself. Recently, we've witnessed one of the most surprising mid-season collapses in recent WNBA history. Sources close to the league suggest that officials are now being pushed to consider an unprecedented solution to a crisis caused by one of its longtime veterans, a solution already being referred to as the Bonner Rule. The notion that a player's behavior could be so disruptive that it requires an official league rule seems almost unimaginable. Yet that is the reality the WNBA now faces. To grasp why the league is on the brink of codifying one player's infamy into the rulebook, it's necessary to understand the full scope of the betrayal that triggered this situation. DeWanna Bonner, a 16-year veteran and future Hall of Famer, was recruited by the Indiana Fever for one highly publicized purpose: to mentor the most hyped rookie in recent history, Caitlin Clark. Clark was thrilled by the pairing, publicly praising Bonner as a selfless and inspiring leader, saying, "As a second-year point guard, I want to win for her. This is the end of her career. She deserves it." The story seemed clear: a seasoned champion guiding a young phenom. But the reality on the court was disastrous. Bonner's performance plummeted. In 9 games with the Fever, she averaged just 7.1 points per game while shooting a career-low 34.5% from the field, a shadow of her former self. Within 3 games, her struggles were so obvious that coach Stephanie White had to bench her from the starting lineup. For a decorated veteran who had started full-time since 2012, this reportedly struck a severe blow to her pride. The fit no longer seemed right. Rather than battling to regain her role or mentoring the rookies, Bonner chose to quit, abandoning both her team and Caitlin Clark, and leaving the rookie to endure relentless media scrutiny alone. She requested a contract release, and with no other choice, the Fever granted it. But this wasn't a routine trade request. It was far more dangerous, revealing a loophole in the league's foundation that now threatens its entire structure. What made Bonner's move so unprecedented? Other stars have forced trades, but never like this. In professional sports, there's a standard playbook for disgruntled players. Take WNBA legend Sylvia Fowles. In 2015, after 7 years with the Chicago Sky, she sought a contender. She sat out the first half of the season in a holdout, ultimately completing a complex 3-team trade to Minnesota. Messy, yes, but Chicago gained assets. Or consider Liye earlier this season, who publicly requested a trade due to limited playing time with the Seattle Storm, and was moved to the Dallas Wings in a typical professional transaction. Sports operate on compensation and rules. DeWanna Bonner shattered that playbook. She didn't hold out to secure a beneficial trade. She quit mid-season to force a release, deliberately devaluing herself as an asset and leaving the Fever with nothing but an empty roster spot. Reports indicate she allegedly orchestrated this through deliberate waiver manipulation.
That makes DeWanna Bonner look really, really bad. It makes DB look really, really bad. And it's the fact that she has told all other teams, other than the Mercury, don't sign her.
The aim of this bold maneuver, according to insiders, was to manipulate the entire system. Bonner reportedly instructed other teams not to claim her off waivers, ensuring she would clear and become an unrestricted free agent. This status would allow her to sign a low-cost, prorated veteran minimum contract with her preferred destination, the Phoenix Mercury. She wasn't just resigning. She was allegedly subverting league rules to get her way, regardless of the cost to the team that had invested nearly a maximum salary in her. This undermined the integrity of player contracts and created a problem disproportionately affecting the league's smallest, most vulnerable teams. DeWanna Bonner's selfish decision became a full-blown crisis. Her actions jeopardized competitive balance, the very core of the league. Small market teams like the Indiana Fever rely heavily on contract sanctity to attract talent. They may not offer the allure of major cities, but they promise a guaranteed role and financial security. Bonner's move sets a dangerous precedent. Unhappy players might now feel entitled to quit and manipulate the system to join preferred markets. The Fever invested heavily in Bonner, expecting her to support Caitlin Clark. Her departure converted that investment into a colossal loss and provided a blueprint for other players to circumvent contracts, threatening the league's stability. The reaction of her peers was equally telling. In professional sports, players often support union members during disputes. Yet in Bonner's case, the silence was deafening. No teammates defended her. No one justified her choice. This collective quiet was a verdict. Her colleagues saw her actions not as empowerment, but as a breach of trust and professionalism. That silent condemnation has now pressured the WNBA to consider a formal rule to prevent similar situations. So what might a Bonner rule entail? If the league acts decisively, it will go beyond a minor penalty. First, financial consequences must be severe. Bonner forfeited roughly $120,000, a significant sum, but apparently insufficient as a deterrent. A new rule could require a player who quits mid-season to forfeit remaining salary, return part of their signing bonus, or lose future playoff shares. The penalty must be steep enough to discourage such actions. Second, it must tackle waiver tampering directly. If a veteran player on a large contract clears waivers under suspicious conditions, an automatic league investigation should follow. If evidence confirms instructions to manipulate claims, penalties could include long suspensions, heavy fines, or even loss of draft picks for the colluding team. The goal: remove any incentive to bypass the system.
And look, I understand that's where she wants to go. Why didn't she go there in the summer? We know why, because she couldn't have got her max contract. And by the way, people are like, oh, they can give her the minimum. No, they can't. The Phoenix Mercury can give her a prorated $80,000 salary for the rest of the year. So she's only going to lose about 30K-ish. I think she's only going to lose, she's going to lose about 40, 50K. Whereas they would have been only able to sign her earlier on. Well, they would only be able to sign her for nothing. Because again, we can't forget as well, the Phoenix Mercury cut Sev Uzen. The Phoenix Mercury have a bunch of players signed on hardships and a bunch of players that they can cut. Like they literally cap space magicked up. And as soon as cap space magics up for the India or for the Phoenix Mercury,
that polite, amicable statement about a fit not working out was impossible to reconcile with her later, far more aggressive posts about feeling disrespected. More importantly, her claims were completely overshadowed by the cold, hard facts already public. She was benched for poor performance, quit her team after just 9 games, abandoned the league's biggest star, and voluntarily forfeited over $120,000 to do it. The public quickly saw through the spin, and her attempt to control the narrative failed spectacularly. This reputational damage is likely to linger long after her playing days, potentially jeopardizing post-career opportunities in coaching or broadcasting. But the bigger issue now threatens the WNBA itself. The league is experiencing explosive growth, largely fueled by the Caitlin Clark effect, drawing millions of new casual fans. Bonner's unprofessional actions send a terrible message about the league's stability, risking the perception of the WNBA as susceptible to petty drama rather than a league of elite athletes. An impression that could deter investors and corporate sponsors critical to sustaining its unprecedented momentum. Meanwhile, another largely untold aspect of this story is emerging. The narrative assumes DeWanna Bonner executed a flawless power play to land on a team ready to welcome her. In reality, the situation was far more complicated. Bonner destroyed her relationship with the Fever and jeopardized her standing with the rest of the league, operating under the arrogant assumption that Phoenix was a guaranteed safe landing spot. Sources suggest, however, that the Mercury's front office was cautious and had serious concerns about integrating Bonner into an already cohesive locker room. Why wouldn't they? Their roster, composed of young, hungry players, had bought fully into the system, overachieving and building chemistry admired league-wide. Why risk that delicate balance for a 36-year-old veteran who had already shown a willingness to quit at the first sign of adversity? It was a massive red flag. Bonner's actions were not just a problem for Indiana. They were a potential liability for her intended destination. Adding her to the Phoenix roster wasn't simple. The team would have been forced to waive an existing player to make space. That displaced player, a contributor to the Mercury's positive chemistry and success, could face resentment, making the integration of Bonner a high-risk gamble. One can only speculate that pressure from their own star, Alyssa Thomas, to sign her fiancé ultimately influenced the front office's decision, turning a strategic basketball move into a potentially volatile choice. What if Bonner becomes unhappy in Phoenix? What if the waived player was a beloved teammate? DeWanna Bonner didn't just escape a bad situation. she may have created an entirely new one. Regardless of how it plays out, the court of public opinion has already judged her harshly for her actions in Indiana. Her flimsy attempts at justification collapse under scrutiny. She claimed it was a bad fit, yet the fit seemed perfect when she signed a $200,000 contract to serve as veteran leader alongside the league's biggest star. The fit only failed once she was held accountable for poor performance and relegated to a reserve role. This was never about fit, it was wounded pride. Then came the vague social media post about disrespect. But what disrespect did she actually face? Was it disrespectful to be benched for shooting a career-low 34.5%? Was it disrespectful to have Lexi Hull promoted, who gave the team a better chance to win? No, that was accountability. The only true disrespect was a 16-year veteran abandoning her young teammates and quitting on her commitment to the team and the organization. To summarize, Bonner underperformed, was benched, quit, and was placed on waivers. If another team had claimed her, she would have retained her $200,000 salary for the season. But no team did, reportedly because she or her camp instructed them not to, rigging the system to force a move to Phoenix.
She said, "I want to sincerely thank the Indiana Fever for the opportunity to be part of the Fever franchise. Despite our shared goals and excitement heading into the season, I felt the fit did not work out, and I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group."
This overwhelming evidence is why her excuses carry no weight and why the league is being forced into action. Ultimately, this story is no longer about one unhappy player. It has become a critical test of the WNBA's integrity and stability. DeWanna Bonner's decision to quit her contract, abandon the sport's biggest star, and allegedly manipulate the system has created a crisis the league cannot ignore. Her actions exposed a dangerous loophole, and whether through massive fines, suspensions, or entirely new regulations, the WNBA will be compelled to implement a deterrent. The so-called Bonner Rule may be unofficial for now, but the precedent it sets will become a permanent part of the league's DNA, defining the boundary between player empowerment and professional chaos. That's our analysis, but we want your perspective. Drop a comment below and tell us. Do you think the WNBA needs a Bonner Rule to prevent this in the future? Or was she entitled to force her way out? Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss updates on this story. And if you believe more people should know what's happening behind the scenes in the WNBA, share this video or post.